Club is to tap into the minds of serial entrepreneurs and really figure out what it is that serial entrepreneurs do over and over and over again to make them successful. Like, what's that secret sauce that helps you start, scale, exit, and repeat? Repeat the process over and over again. So that's why we're here. That's why we do this show every week. And that's why we cover the many, many interesting topics that we cover. Last week, we had Lil Roberts from the CEO of Zendu, a fintech and accounting firm. We had her on the show to talk about recurring revenue and setting up your subscription business. It's always wonderful to have Lil on the show. I learned so much from her. I will always welcome that woman on to come and talk. If you haven't heard her speaking, I highly, highly advise that you find a room that she might be in and just listen to her. She's super wise. We talked about, the recurring revenue, the subscription model. It's a great model. It takes a lot of time and investment to get it going, but the reward and your recurring revenue is so worth it. If you want to see the footnotes, if you want to listen to the audio from last week, or if you just want to browse the transcript, hop onto se.club and check that out. We've got a pretty great archive there of collective events, and we're going to keep adding to it. Just a reminder, this session today, this room is recorded. If you're on stage, that lets us know that you acknowledge you're being recorded, you consent to being recorded, and you're cool with our educational purposes, to record you and post everything on our website. And with that, today's topic is ways to make money on Clubhouse. We've got Michelle, the president of .club Domains and also the founder and CEO of Meowingtons, on stage with us today. And we also have the talented Jeffrey Sass on stage. He's our chief marketing officer, also a co-founder of .club. He helps out with Paul, and he's recording, and he's done lots of moderating here. So we're going to welcome them on stage. And if you are interested in speaking, just raise your hand. We'll pull you up. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our moderators. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. Really appreciate it. So today, I think this is a subject that's of interest to most people that are entrepreneurs here at Clubhouse, just getting started, or maybe with Clubhouse for at least a year. So without further ado, we're going to post the question to our first guest speaker, Adrienne, who's been noted by others as someone who's in the know about how to navigate Clubhouse and specifically how to make contacts, etc., that can result in revenue opportunities. I actually saw Adrienne was highlighted in a wonderful article that Gary Henderson recently did that named the top 22 people to follow if you're interested in learning more about the creator economy and ways to monetize, really use your time valuably if you're looking to utilize Clubhouse for business purposes. So Adrienne, welcome and thank you for coming so much today to our session. This again, as Rachel said, is a weekly session. We do it every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and it's always focused around entrepreneurship. So Adrienne, looks like you have quite the interesting background. We'd love if you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, and then feel free to dive into what your suggestions are and how you recommend that we navigate and ultimately make money while we're here on Clubhouse. So thank you, Adrienne. The stage is yours.
Fantastic. Michelle, Rachel, Jeffrey, thank you so much for having me. I have followed along with so many things happening in this startup club for basically the entire time I've been here on Clubhouse. And so it's such an honor and really kind of a dream come true to get to be on the stage today. So thank you so much for inviting me. My name's Adrienne Chenault, and I am the founder of a company called Contact Mapping. And what we are all about is helping our community of users to humanize every aspect of what they're doing to build their business. So you think about the contacts in your phone, you think about your Facebook friends or your followers on Instagram. In so many ways, those are kind of a lifeless sort of set of people that are out there that may or may not interact, but they don't really, there's so much more opportunity inside of those human beings, inside of those potential connections, than what the vast majority of us ever do. And it's as though we have just treated them as this sort of list that's sitting over there, rather than the incredible resource and the incredible sort of package of opportunities that could exist inside of those. And so it's been phenomenal as Clubhouse has come along, where it's such an organic platform. It's a platform where it kind of cuts through the noise. It cuts through much of the sort of veneer or sort of the armor that we put up about the way that we want to present ourselves. And it just allows us to be human. And so I have fallen in love completely with this platform, but it has given us an opportunity to be able to serve this community by showing a way of creating more authentic connections and allowing those connections to actually lead somewhere. And so some of the things that I'm going to share are, if you've been on this platform for any amount of time, you're probably doing them to a certain degree, but I hope what I'll be able to share with you today will help you to take some of those things to the next level and to be able to have a way to maybe cut through the noise and to start creating more authentic conversations that lead somewhere here on Clubhouse, and then sort of as you move into the DMs off platform and begin creating relationships. So here's a really simple framework that I use to do that. And I'll share that briefly, and then I'll pause and give others the chance to share or ask questions, or however you want to do this. But here's the thing that I think is magical about Clubhouse that is different from almost any other platform. On Clubhouse, not only do people share these fantastic descriptions of themselves that I think are far richer than what you find on pretty much any other platform. So you really have an opportunity to learn a lot about somebody just by tapping on their photo and then reading through their profile. And so that's great. That gives you kind of a pretty good summary of who someone is. But what's magical about Clubhouse is that it's such a contextual conversation. And what I mean by that is that almost every time anyone shares on this platform, they're sharing something about themselves, about their values, about their life that is very specific, that is meaningful to them, and that often is not the kind of thing that necessarily would appear in the highlights reel or in their description or whatever, because it's something that they're sharing from their heart, or it's something that they're sharing about a specific situation or experience that they had or topic. And so what I love to do is to make sure that when I meet someone interesting, that I capture that specific share that came here on Clubhouse, and I document that, in my case using contact mapping, but you could do it in a notebook or however you want to do it. But I document that story, I document that little snippet, and I make sure to weave that into the conversation as I move into a conversation in DMs with somebody. Because what that shows is that you actually were listening, which half the time you don't know really, you find that people weren't really listening. They're just trying to get something from you. They're trying to DM you because they're trying to pitch you or whatever. So you instantly stand out in that way. And you're able to create this understanding of the human being behind that account and to move it into a real relationship. And so that's really the starting point. And what I have gotten into the habit of doing is I meet interesting people here all the time, way more than I might be able to start a conversation with all in one day, way more, in many cases I don't necessarily need to reach out to that person today, but I have become a collector of people's stories and a collector of conversations, because it may not be that you share something and I need to reach out to you today, but if I have a history of a conversation where I've been able to hear this person and I go, oh, that's right, that's Michelle. We were on that stage, a couple weeks ago, and actually it turns out she shared a story about something else that was interesting, and I sort of connect those dots. All of a sudden now, when it does come time to reach out, I can say, hey, I've been on stage with you a couple of times. I actually remember, I think it was like a month ago, and you were telling that story about this. And I'm a big fan of your work. I'd love to have a conversation. That's a very different kind of an energy and a very different kind of an outreach compared to the vast majority of what I have certainly received from people in the DMs here on Clubhouse. And I think it leads to a much more powerful connection that gets created much more quickly and is giving me the opportunity for that conversation to lead somewhere. So I hope that's valuable, just maybe as a starting framework. And this is Adrian. I'm done speaking.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks for sharing that. It's interesting. You touched on something that I hadn't thought much about, but I think is very interesting, and that is the profile we use here in Clubhouse as compared to other social platforms. And it's interesting because you're right. Here in Clubhouse, because the profile is often what's used to see if someone wants to invite you to speak or come up in stage, that many of us make our profiles more value-based. So as opposed to just being a resume, like it might be on LinkedIn or somewhere else, it's focusing on what you can contribute, what you want to add, or what you want to learn here in Clubhouse. So it's much more value-based, and we're judged many times first by our profile versus, in Twitter, someone's going to look at my Twitter feed and the content before they even look at my profile. Whereas here, it's almost profile first. So I thought that was an interesting point. And of course, we want to talk about ways to make money on Clubhouse today. Our friend Ish Millie, who's not with us today, but who's been on this stage many times, he likes to say when you go to Clubhouse or you get into Clubhouse, you have to make a choice. Are you here for the dollars or the dopamine? So today we want to talk a little bit more about dollars. And I'm quoting Ish. That's his line, not mine. So he gets full credit for that. So I'm just curious, Adrian, before we move on. So now that you've collected all this data on people and made these copious notes and have the ability to have deeper conversations, how does that lead to the monetization part?
Yeah, that's a really important question. So here's what my experience has been like, and I'll share it, I guess, from two perspectives. So in the case of contact mapping, for us, it has been a remarkable way because we have been able to show this way of connecting in a way that has massively exploded our number of users and the value that people are getting on Clubhouse. So for us, because we are all about connection, that has been a big driver. But for our users, what's happening is, the number of people that you would love to connect with, some of whom you were already aware of, and this is giving you an opportunity to get in front of them in a way that you never otherwise would have had. Or in many cases as well, people who are incredibly talented, incredibly sought after, but that you didn't even know they existed before this platform. The key is that if you're looking to collaborate with somebody like that and to create opportunities together, you first have to get that foot in the door. And so that framework, the reason that framework fits into this conversation in my mind about making money on Clubhouse is that in all those cases, that person doesn't know me from a hill of beans prior to that conversation. And so my first task in trying to develop a conversation that's going to lead to collaboration and going to lead to potential partnership or a significant, revenue opportunity or whatever, is I've got to be able to demonstrate that I'm trustworthy and that there's a real connection to be had there. So that's, for me, what I'm looking for inside of that conversation. And secondly, it's using those shares and it's using that documentation that I'm doing to be able to identify where are the places that I can help with whatever business offer that I have. Where can I be helpful to that person, right? And so it might be that you're at a place where you're already on stages a lot and you're able to, sort of mention in passing an offer that you have or a course that you have or something like that from the stage. But in many cases, when you're earlier on, you're not on stages a lot yet, but somebody might be saying from the stage something that is like right in your wheelhouse. And so being able to use this as a way to say, I paid attention to your story, I reached out, I wasn't on the stage, but I was dying to share with you, when you said this, it made me think of this thing. And, I think I could help you. Would you be interested? So those are the types of conversations that I'm looking to create. And I think when you do it more organically and it does, you're trying to have it feel like a genuine desire to serve rather than a pounce or a sales pitch. That's where the magic is happening of being able to take what's being shared here in a room on Clubhouse and move that to a valuable conversation that moves quickly off platform.
I think that's great advice, Adrian. And in fact, I would say it's good advice in general. Um, right? You're like really connecting with people, and it's a relevant conversation. So thanks for pointing that out and reminding us. Um, we also have on the stage Stephen, and Stephen, I see here you're quite connected and involved in planning and connecting creators. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well on ways to make money on Clubhouse.
Well, thank you for bringing me up. I do appreciate it. And to Adrian's point, that's really smart stuff right there. I'm going to kind of elaborate on it. So I've been on this app for about 3 months. My background is in events, virtual events. And then from that, I've actually now pivoted into doing Clubhouse events. I started the first ever Clubhouse production company. In the first regards, being able to find opportunities in what you currently do and how you can capitalize it here on Clubhouse is the first thing you can do. There are a lot of people that are helping people to facilitate things and do things on here, whether moderating, whether simulcasting, whatever it might be that people's needs are on here. That's an opportunity. But outside of that, for people that have everyday businesses, this, as a lot of people have called it, is networking on lightning speed. So you, more than ever before, have the opportunity to be in front of heavy hitters in whatever industry, whatever you're interested in, whatever fields you want to be a part of. And that is the golden opportunity of how to make money here for anybody that's in this app. If you're here for business, to be able to connect and meet people. Now, this is to Adrian's point, though. Adrian says, you want to bring people in and you want to tell them about it. And that's a great tactic, great strategy. The first thing I think for anybody here is to curate a strong bio to really pull people in. The first line in your bio is your hook, pulling people in, telling me your experiences. If you want to think of it, I've explained it as almost a funnel. When you get up on a stage, you start speaking to people, you start telling people, they're going to be like, wow, this person's interesting. Let me tap on their face. And then the next level is their hook that's going to pull them in. You want to take them from when you pull them in, you want to tell them about why you're amazing, why everybody should listen to you. You tell them about your experiences, your story, and at the end, you want to have a call to action. You want to drive people to take that next step, to move to your next point. At what point? It's in business, that's what we do all the time. So you want to get up there, talk to people, be very genuine. Don't be too salesy. Don't pitch yourself. People get turned off real quick about pitching. Even if they stay in the room, they don't necessarily leave. They will just stop listening. So I've also started with what I tell people to do is come up with your Clubhouse pitch. And a Clubhouse pitch is literally just 15 seconds, 10 seconds long. And I always mine used to be, hi, my name is Stephen Burchard. I connect event creators with interactive and engaging virtual and in-person entertainment solutions. And my question is, or my comment is, then you say that before you preempt your statements. One, it gives you credibility for what you're saying. So if you're going to talk, if I'm in an events room or a Clubhouse room or something like that, I can have credibility for when I'm speaking. But two, it gets people interested to click on my face and tap into my profile and see what am I talking about? What does that mean? So it creates curiosity, but you don't want it to be too long, or else people will tune out. And then follow-ups is huge. I think there's a couple of follow-up opportunities here. Your follow-up opportunity being through the DMs, through the back channel, going on there, going to Instagram, sending them a message. But then secondarily, you have an opportunity here that you don't always have in other places, is you have the opportunity to what I call friendly stalk people. And it's nothing wrong with that here. You hit that follow button. If you really want to connect with somebody, let's say you see, the CEO, the COO, or the CMO, or whatever C-level person you want to connect with on a company, or strategic partner you want to make, you can hit their face, hit their follow button. That's great. You might get a follow. But if you hit that bell icon next to their name, and you switch it to always, you're going to get alerted every time they get up on stage and start speaking. And this is key. And I'm going to tell you why this is key. If they get on a stage and they start a room and they're the first person in there, if you jump in that room immediately, you're going to be the only person in that audience, or if you might pop up on the stage right away, you have a unique opportunity that now you are there to help them, because that person, if anybody's started a room, that person sits there, the first person, they're like, what's going on? Where are my people? Waiting for people to show up, looking down the hallway. If you're sitting in a conference room before you start your meeting, you're looking down the hall like, where's everybody at? This is where you're at. You're going to be that person. You could chit chat, start the conversation, and connect with people. you're now building a connection. And I've been blessed to have amazing connections here on a personal level, and people want to work with people. So if you can make that, it's not just business. If you start that conversation, you connect with somebody, you'll have a golden opportunity that you never had anywhere else. So those are my tips, and I hope that helps.
Thank you, Stephen. That was great. Your little front row hack. It's funny because we do something similarly in the real world when we had live events. But when we started .club, we always wear logo shirts. We always wear a shirt with the .club logo on it at events. And we'll always sit deliberately in the front row of any conference session we go to, because invariably the person on stage speaking sees us in the front row, sees the logo on the shirt, and if it's relevant to the conversation, they end up using .club as an example and mentioning us sitting in the front row. So your hack on doing the same thing on Clubhouse is great. I wanted to ask you, you're doing events on Clubhouse, which is really exciting. It's a great platform for that. I'm curious to know, since we're here to talk about the dollars and not the dopamine, have you done any paid events on Clubhouse, and or what do you think of the future of paid events within Clubhouse?
I have done paid events here. I've worked with a couple of organizations and brands to both help facilitating conversations. Simulcasting was a big one that I've done, where we bring in outside. They're multi-platform, so they're doing it on a Zoom call, and they want to bring it in to expand their reach. Helping with moderation teams and putting together run of shows. The big ones that are really, really successful are the after event conversations. So if you have a big conference, you bring in the top speakers. That way people now have a really, this kind of goes to the whole point that I was saying before. You have a unique opportunity to be close up with somebody that you not always have that opportunity to. So you get to get up on stage, you get to ask questions, you get to deep dive into more conversations. And so it's not a formal, as formal of a room or a situation. You can deep dive into certain things. You can go down different rabbit holes. So that's, yeah. So the quick answer is yes, I have. There's so many different cool ways of doing it. I also have built a nice team that are all people that know Clubhouse really well. So that allows you to do some really cool stuff with it.
So, just thinking about this session beforehand, we were just brainstorming about what the type of business models are potentially on Clubhouse to make money. And we thought of a few. I just want to read this kind of off to the audience to help facilitate some questions, and would love your input on them, especially if you have experience doing any of these on Clubhouse. One we were thinking about is sponsorships. And I think, Stephen, maybe that's similar to what you're saying with the after show questions. Did I understand you correctly? Was that like a sponsorship type of business model?
No, this one wasn't a sponsorship. That was, we were brought on by the organization hosting the event, the original event. So think of like a conference, if someone's having, or if they have like a webinar. So the webinar is going on, it's one directional, only people can either like type a chat, but it's only one directional with the conversation. So the person's just presenting. And then afterwards, that same presenter would come on to Clubhouse with the moderator, and then people that were attending that webinar would then be in the audience and be able to come up and actually ask questions in real time. So that's that kind of
Great.
But sponsorships is a great one too.
Yeah, some other ones that we were thinking of are membership fees. I don't think that I've experienced that, but we do believe it's a great opportunity. Direct selling, obviously, can't understate that. Direct selling works when it's appropriate, especially if it's educational. And then there's two new cool things actually that Club has launched, which is tips, and then we understand they're working on a grant program. And then last but not least, what I've seen the most is, I would call it Ask Me, but it's more of the coaching type of business model. So would love to hear anyone in the audience or here on stage, their experiences with any of these kind of specific business models and where they think the near term is and maybe the future. With that, let's go to Maria.
Hi guys, this is my first time here. I'm gonna follow Steven's tip. My name is Maria, based in Japan. I offer tailored action plans to individuals and companies who want to take their life to the next level. So, I'm new at this thing called business. And to be honest, I am still figuring out my profile on Clubhouse. And I don't have a question. All I want to say is that I'm going to be listening with my ears wide open, and I'm going to be taking notes. I want to thank Adrian and Stephen for the great tips they were sharing. Edna is here. I've used some of her tips and helped me deeply. Grateful for that. And yeah, thank you. I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Maria. I agree. It's a good opportunity to learn from each other. On that note, let's go to Coach Deb. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts, Coach Deb, on making money on Clubhouse, given you are a coach.
I don't know.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you. And hi, Jeffrey. So this is an exciting topic. You pulled me in with the topic and the title of your room. So bravo. I see it's being recorded, so we know it's going out there. I'm hoping I bring in a few new tips or new ways to make money because I'm joining this room. I don't know how many people have shared things, but 3 ways that I would recommend anyone start making money on Clubhouse. And you guys were talking about the subscription model, so I believe that's coming soon. But pro mods, there is an absolute need for professional moderators, especially as more and more entrepreneurs are joining, more and more really busy folks who are running brands and their social media person is coming on, but they don't know Clubhouse and they need professional mods. So that's a great way. We're seeing people get full-time jobs just being professional mods. They're here on all day, every day, running rooms. And then sponsors. So if you have a club and you're running that on a regular basis, you bring the people to your room, to your club, and then you get sponsors who, once again, they don't have the time to grow rooms, to grow clubs. So you're essentially providing the audience, and then people come and they sponsor it because that is going to be a huge need, especially once Android opens up. Right? If anyone thinks they're late to the party with Clubhouse, don't worry. The day Android opens up, right, and gets on Clubhouse, it's going to be like back in October of 2020 when iPhone users were able to download it because it was available for the public. And then the third is just producing shows. We've been doing that for speakers, authors, entrepreneurs. So you essentially are producer for that person, again, bringing the audience together, but then either hooking up with something like the Rodecaster Pro, bringing in music, bringing in laugh track, really upping the production value of it, as opposed to just the conversation, which everyone's doing the conversation. But now if you want to stand out, differentiate your club or your room, up the production value, and then provide that type of a show versus just a room and a conversation. So I hope that helps. And I hope those are a few new ways to make money on Clubhouse. Coach Deb, back to you, Michelle.
Great. Thank you. Jeff, did you want to follow up with questions?
No, I think great to see you, Coach Deb. And it's those are great suggestions. And I think, the pro mods I actually saw one marketing agency that's been running rooms where they have one of the pro mods. Some of you probably recognize from Clubhouse, and she basically interviews the CEO of the company, and it's a pseudo promotion, pseudo informational, but they have that professional moderator, so it feels almost like a TV interview and less like a random room in Clubhouse. So we're definitely seeing more of that. And I love what you said about the production values. I think that, because Clubhouse is an audio platform, people started out saying, oh, it's a conversation platform. But there's so much more that you can do with audio than just have conversations. And we're seeing the creativity and the innovation in Clubhouse already, everything from the Lion King shows to radio drama type programs, to game shows, to karaoke. So anything that you can do with sound, and production values have a lot to do with that, incorporating music and sound effects, as Deb said. So it's really exciting to see the innovations. And I think just as there'll be creative innovations, there'll be innovations on how to monetize and how to leverage this platform to make money. So it's an exciting time, I think. Thank you for adding that. And Edna, I know we kind of jumped over you. I didn't know if that you had something that you wanted to say before.
Yeah, actually, I would like to share a couple of things where people can make some money almost immediately and instantly. So if you are a person that knows how to design logos, let me tell you something. There are so many clubs that have been created here on Clubhouse. And if that is your area of expertise, you can go into the hallway, click on that magnifying glass, and then just type in the word A and go to clubs, and you will see all these clubs that don't have a logo. If you can create a logo for each one of those clubs, maybe charge them $40, $50, that's instant money for somebody who is new to the platform, who wants to make some extra cash and is in the advertising field. If you're a good note taker, and even if you're not a good note taker, you can go to otter.ai and download that software, or sign up for it, and start taking notes in some of these rooms. People will provide you with those notes, and let me tell you, some of these rooms have fascinating notes. So what I've seen some clubs do, which I think is really smart, is that they provide these notes, and they provide the notes for a fee. So you pay a monthly fee, and then they'll send you the notes from all of the rooms. You have an option, right? Like you could pay $5 or $2 for all the notes from those rooms. So if you're a good note taker and you can bring things down, that would be something that people are willing to pay for. The other way I think that people can, I've seen people monetize, is through really just being motivational and clarity. That's something that really I've seen a lot of challenges here. People's inability to be really clear about the problems they solve and the people they solve them for. And so there's a lot of coaches on this app that can help people with that. And so I've seen some really great things happening here, Jeffrey, and there's so much opportunity, and it's going to continue to grow. The other thing that I saw the other day was a very creative use of podcasts. So they basically took the platform and did a professional interview, as you were saying, but they were also recording it for their podcast. And so that's another way to monetize that, because on your podcast you can also have sponsorships, and I have seen quite a few rooms that have been sponsored here on Clubhouse. So I hope that helps, and this is Edna, and I'm done speaking.
Thanks, Edna. Those were some great tips. The logo one's a no-brainer if you've got the chops for that. I love that. And having a good logo is important, and more than one. One of the other cool innovations when you talk about creativity on Clubhouse is how people are leveraging that profile picture. It's not a visual platform. You can't have images, yet I've seen people use their profile picture as if it's a slideshow during certain talks, and they keep changing and asking people to PTR, pull to refresh. So there's a lot of innovation and creativity because of how simple it is. So that's exciting. Celise, I think you were next in line. Did you have a question for anyone or a comment you wanted to add?
Yes, thank you. So my name is Celeste, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this conversation. I'm definitely taking notes so I don't have to pay. I think that's a great idea, Edna. Thank you for dropping that one. So I had two really quick questions. This one's for Coach Deb, and really anyone else can chime in. So I have heard of people soliciting themselves to be professional mods on Clubhouse. I think that's a great idea. However, for someone who's interested in that, do you have like your maybe top way or ways that one would market themselves for that? And my second question was for Michelle. I heard you briefly mention grants as something Clubhouse might roll out, which I have not heard. So I was just hoping you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, first thing I would do is put it in your bio. So if you want to be a pro mod, professionally, get paid for it, I would put that in your mods, or sorry, in your bio, so that way you're found for it, because people are looking for it in search. I would also use emojis, because emojis are searchable. And then the other thing is just do it for people. Seek out people that you could be a professional mod for and offer it to them just to help out. I think that's how we all did it back in August and September before it was released. We just started helping one another out. There was no professional anything. We just ran rooms for one another, and we just got known for that. So there were certain people that just really knew how to run a room and set the standard, and then someone else copied that and modeled it, and they would see someone do something really well and they would share their tips and then learn from it. So I
Yeah,
would just
you're right. And
offer to do it for
actually,
free.
now that you thought of that, I used to do a lot
Hmm.
of welcome parties for people, and that's kind of gone away. So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So you've done it, right? I mean, doing a welcome room for someone that's new on Clubhouse is being a mod. So I would also create maybe a checklist and a system. So that way, when people hit you up to be a pro mod, you say, I'm prepared. I have this checklist. I have a system. We have a way that we reset the room, right? Really sell it, because eventually, like right now, there's such a need for it. So supply and demand is great. Eventually, there's going to be a whole bunch of pro mods. So set yourself out apart, right? Like set yourself apart and better than all the rest. And that way you've got that system and you're the best. And someone else is like, oh my gosh, you should have seen her room. You've got to get her. So it just winds up feeding into it. So what you offer it for free and you get hit up. So that's what we're seeing happen. Coach Deb, back to you, either Celeste or Michelle.
I'd love to jump in if you don't mind.
Please do.
Cool. I would say a couple of key points here, though, is you do want to also keep in mind what lane you want to be in. Oftentimes, when you're doing moderating rooms, it's good to kind of know what your expertise is, and what you're kind of going to be doing, because a lot of people are going to be looking for a lot of times subject matter experts are good, or just having a knowledge of the topics, so that way you can help to facilitate the conversation better. Or if your specialty is really getting people hyped up and doing a really great room reset, if that's what your thing is. I mean, there are mods out here that have their own talents, whether it's singing, whether it's beatboxing, whether it's comedy. Like, they all have different kind of specialties. So you want to also keep that in mind. What's going to make your unique selling proposition? It's not just I can do a room. I know how the buttons work. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people do, but the big thing that you need to do, and this goes to Coach Deb's point, is you need to understand what's going to really get people to come into you, and why do they want to go for you as a moderator. It's not just because you can stand up on a stage and click buttons. It's because you have certain things, skill sets that other people don't know how to do. So you want to keep that in mind when you're putting your stuff together.
Stephen, really great points, and you made me think of something. Everything old is new again. And to Deb's point earlier of making it like a show, think about some of the things that have worked traditionally in talk show formats, whether on radio and TV or on TV, but having a cohort, right? Having the Ed McMahon to Johnny Carson, having that extra person who maybe is not leading the conversation, but's there that the moderator can point to, make a side comment to, turn to for a joke or just a side comment, so that there's always some chance for interaction. So there's a lot of stuff that's been done traditionally in other mediums that can easily be translated and leveraged within Clubhouse. So we should learn from what worked in other mediums and bring it into Clubhouse if it makes sense.
Hey, whenever we do events, we always do it in teams. One, I mean, if you know your team, it's much easier to go in between things. You can easily tee things up with people. So yeah, no, 100% working as a team is a success thing.
And for those
Stephen,
who haven't noticed,
you shared that.
For those who haven't noticed, PTR, pull to refresh. Steve, ever since I mentioned changing profile pictures, Stephen has been changing his about every 3 minutes. So take advantage of that. Michelle, I think Celise had a question for you as well.
Yeah, so Celeste, not to forget your question, if you go to the Clubhouse blog, they have mentioned several times that they are in the works to roll out a creator grant program. And as I understand, it's to support emerging Clubhouse creators. That is the extent of the information I know, but it is on their Clubhouse blog.
Perfect. Thank you.
They're going to be announcing. They actually did select the people for the Creator First program already, and they're going to be announcing them. I think it's in 2 weeks. If anybody knows the exact date, I forgot. But if you want to DM me, I can get you the exact date when they're going to release that information.
Great. Okay, so question. Let's have a question and kind of refresh the room here. We're here talking with people that are experts on Clubhouse. have been here for the last few months or over the past year who have experienced ways to make money on Clubhouse. So if you have any questions, and I see we have a few other people here on stage, please let's ask your questions. John, I believe that you are next.
And just real quick before you go, John, if everyone pulls to refresh, Coach Deb has now changed her profile picture to what looks like a worthwhile book. And I don't know if that's your book or not, but it looks like it's the Clubhouse Guidebook.
It's both. It's both, Jeffrey. Worthwhile and my book. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Sorry, John. Go ahead. Didn't mean to cut in there, but I noticed it. Sorry.
No problem. Appreciate the platform here. I am founder and CEO of a organization that produces a consumer mobile app. And I'd like to toss this idea out to some of the forum leaders. The idea I came up with, one of the chief problems we have as developers of a mobile app is, of course, marketing. And part and parcel of that is this notion of doing a beta test on the app. And we our constituency basically is people who I'll just tell you a little bit about the app briefly. It's a household small business tool for users and planners to assemble a continuity and succession plan in the event of an emergency. So what we do, we are interested in people who have a mindset of sustainability, of preparedness, and we want to get the app into hands of people who have that sort of mindset, preparedness for natural and man-made disasters, whether it's preparing their household or their small business. So I thought maybe Clubhouse could be a good venue to introduce a product of that nature, and also indoctrinating people in use of the app, and in turn beta testers for the app. And I'd love to hear feedback from anyone, and we would be interested in also looking into a professional moderator to help us toward that end.
So two things, John, that come to mind real quick. So, of course, in Clubhouse, we each see our own little microcosm of the Clubhouse universe based on who we follow and our interests. But there's lots of stuff going on of different topics. So number one is to do some searching around and see if there are already rooms or clubs where people are preppers. People are talking about the areas that you're trying to reach, the people who want to prepare for disasters, who've got their shelters in their homes and all that stuff, traditionally called preppers. If those exist, then you want to start participating in those rooms, and that's your audience. If they don't exist, you can also start rooms on that topic and see if you can build up an audience around that topic. And then if you can get to that audience and maybe use a professional mod to help you build that audience, you can have a professional mod help you share your message or help you tell those stories in those rooms. But I have to believe of the 10 million users on Clubhouse now that probably there's a handful of preppers out there. You just have to find them. I'm Jeff, and I'm done speaking.
They might even be in this room, right?
Yeah, so you're suggesting maybe just starting off with a room and then see how that goes, and then hopefully bigger and better things into a clubhouse maybe.
Well, first, before you start your own room, first see if people are already having discussions about preparedness in Clubhouse. You want to find those out and start listening and getting yourself incorporated into those rooms so those people get to know you, so that when you do open your own club or launch your own rooms, you may already have a following of like-minded people who are also preppers.
John, if I could jump in here as well, I just wanted to I also noticed that you don't have anything social media attached to it. And that's usually the go-to way that people will actually try to reach out to you. So you mentioned a professional one. So I'm sure people in the audience who are trying to aspire to do this are going to start reaching out to you, but they don't have an easy way. That's the one thing on here is, and this is for anybody in the audience, if you're trying to connect with people, you got to make the barrier to entry as smooth and easy as possible. So lower the friction. So if you're not an Instagram person, you're like, I'm never going to be on Instagram, I don't like it, I would still suggest getting it and just putting on there, like, here for DMs, or I'm not going to check the DMs, connect me on LinkedIn, and put your LinkedIn link is the link in your bio of your Instagram. And you could put a mosaic across the first 6 photos saying, not going to answer, shoot me a message on LinkedIn. And that could be it. And that's fine. That it decreases barrier to entry, makes it super easy for people to connect with you. And then I would also say you would want to put what you're talking about and what you just said as in your bio. So that way, when you're in the audience, people click on your profile, that'll draw them into knowing what you're all about, who you are, what your purpose here on Clubhouse is. So those are 2 things I tell you to do.
Yeah, just to add, I'm looking, something that seems obvious, but maybe it's not, is one way, and this is good, off and on Clubhouse, way to establish yourself as an expert in some, particular field, is to publish these, books like Coach Deb has with her guidebook. I think that's an excellent strategy to establish yourself and help you jump off into whatever it is that your wheelhouse and where you really want to go in terms of monetizing. I Let's go to the next person, please, on the stage. I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to talk. We have Mark. Welcome, Mark.
Hi, everybody. I know some of you. It's been fun listening to you and thinking about this topic. I got on here myself a couple months ago now, I think in February, and I was just sort of exploring and playing around with it without any kind of thoughts on monetization or, doing anything entrepreneurial. And yet I've monetized without even trying and have, got some pretty strong interest that I didn't think would happen. But now I'm stuck that I run a business and I don't have time for this, to be honest. So I'm spending less time on the app now, even though I really enjoy it. I just can't let it take over my life. So I've sort of budgeted how much time I can allot to it. And at this point in my life, time is worth more than money. So I'm willing to trade money for time. And I have some ideas on hiring folks, and I've got a pretty large company with lots of people working for me, but nobody that's really involved with Clubhouse. I've even got some social media, young people that do some things for us, and with limited success. But anyway, on other platforms like primarily LinkedIn, we're B2B. So anyway, so I'm looking for somebody if they think they can help. Don't DM me. I love that advice. I'm gonna say that on my bio. Just send me an email. My email is on my bio, and I would like to talk to somebody about perhaps, modding a room and talking about how we might monetize. And we're in the green or the clean tech space, so we essentially help businesses to engage with energy, and we also recruit folks to work for us. We're up to like 3,500 or more people now, actually. And Edna's in my same field, solar and power, gas, all those kinds of things, efficiency. So if anybody is interested, please reach out to me. Probably don't waste people's time on here, but just reach out to me and we can talk about it. Thanks.
That's great, Mark. Something, again, I had not thought of. It's a great potential recruitment tool. So thanks for bringing that up and making the offer to our audience. Okay, it looks like next up is Drew, the local engineer.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. This is my first time stepping up into a speaker role, so thank you for the opportunity. I have been listening to y'all all afternoon, especially a couple other people, and Stephen was in the last one I was in. Now, Jeffrey, you brought up something about using Clubhouse as a tool for businesses and actually interviewing the business to then, I guess, promote whatever they want to promote, right? Whether it's their business or whether they're hiring. And my podcast is all about finding local engineers from around the area, so it's not just your Elon Musks and stuff that everybody can read about. I'm trying to set up as a form of monetization of my channel is also interviewing local engineering firms, manufacturing facilities, and other STEM related businesses. And the idea would be, rather than them just posting a job application, that, hey, people can come listen to you, the CEO, and you talk about your company and about what positions you're looking for and what kind of people you're looking for. And then, without me even thinking about it, the next question, which Michelle had actually answered it, was on the forum that you said that they're now looking at bringing on, I forget the name of it now, something with Clubhouse. So my question in general, when I raised my hand at the beginning, was, am I looking at this the right way to be able to use Clubhouse as a way to bring on local companies, local businesses, and have them discuss what they're doing? Or am I using Clubhouse wrong?
Well, first of all,
Hey,
there's
Drew.
no right or wrong way to use Clubhouse. This is so early on that we're all learning, and anyone who claims to be a Clubhouse expert is not telling the truth, because at this point in time, a Clubhouse expert does not exist. We're all learning. Even the founders of the company are learning, and things are happening that they didn't anticipate. So we're all learning. There's no right or wrong way. I also think that you're touching on something that's interesting and worth pursuing, is the local angle. This is a big universe out there, and I love that you have the local engineer, in your icon, and there's no reason why you can't set up rooms or even clubs that are localized on Clubhouse and try to attract people from a particular region or community. So I think your ideas are very good, and I think that Clubhouse is certainly a viable platform to test them in. I'm Jeff, and I'm done.
Drew, this is
Great point.
Adrian speaking. Quick question for you. Are you trying to highlight engineers specifically in your local area, or trying to create this idea that local engineers from all over the country or all over the world are having a platform to share?
It actually started out as the first one, which was me trying to find local engineers in Atlanta, but this has already exploded outside of Atlanta. So now I'm going into finding local, just small businesses in general. So it's not just your giant GEs, your Deltas, and companies like that. So part of what I was thinking was, I could, just like Jeffrey had mentioned, was set up, once I get a club established, I can have different rooms per major city and let people have their own discussions in there, and just basically facilitate STEM fields in general.
I really like
True.
that, and I think that's a great path to consider going down, is that from the perspective of who they're trying to market to. If they're local firms, then you need to help them try to cultivate local audience. And so having those platforms where you're trying to create localization, and maybe even thinking about not just engineering, but sort of like related fields, or fields where maybe there's opportunity for the people in that community to benefit from being around each other. And, because otherwise you're kind of bringing potentially like if you put all the engineering firms in Atlanta in one room, you're kind of putting competitors on the same stage. So could you create some diversity of like related areas, for example, could be something interesting as well. But I definitely think that local angle is going to be helpful for you in attracting the audience, because they're trying to in turn market to their local communities. So this is Adrian, done speaking.
And this is Celeste. I just wanted to chime in super quick. So Drew, I noticed in your bio, I don't see Atlanta engineers listed at all. And I would just highly recommend, if you're looking to target that demographic, that you put that, because there very well may be a lot of people searching for that interest group. And so bios are highly searchable. Even maybe making a club would kind of help you target that demographic. So this is Celeste, and I'm done speaking.
Definitely. I love that, Celeste. And Drew, you are right on about creating a club and then inviting other people to run rooms in that club. You want to think about Clubhouse, the way you're setting this up. Think of it like a network. So it's the TV network, it's the radio show network. And then every hour, you've got different rooms that could be run. And what's nice about Clubhouse versus the radio, you don't have a hard out. So if there's conversations that are going on, they can go on for 2 hours and 3 hours. But if you think about that, like, and in the beginning, say you have 12 people in the club as members and they run rooms, maybe every 3 hours, a new room is being started. And it's fine if they overlap, because all it does is it floods people's hallway that are interested in that topic with your club name. So it grows the club, it grows the community. You become that leader in that area. So Jeffrey was spot on when he said there is no expert here, because it's constantly evolving. Just like when Twitter came out, right, in 2007, it's only limited by our imaginations. And your imagination right here, Drew, this is awesome. And please keep me updated with what you're doing, because I'm tracking things like that where people are running those clubs and running it like a network. You're going to see Clubhouse just like the next media track, like radio, podcasting, TV. It's just going to have a completely different, like, interactive engagement feel. And I'm done speaking. Coach Deb here.
Great, thank you. Okay, next on the stage we have Jake.
Hey,
Jake, love to hear what you have to say.
absolutely. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Nice to meet you. My name is Jake Song. I am the co-founder of my company called 3Cipher. We are the one-stop financial shop where we really are helping our entrepreneur friends out on building their financial wealth. And my question is, I am hosting multiple rooms on just showing people how to leverage life insurance to grow their wealth, more specifically tax deferred grow wealth. And so far, we've had a great hit, just showing people how to like leverage what the Rockefeller families are doing with their wealth. And one of the questions that I keep having to myself is, we have a lot of partners who are working with us, each room, and my goal is to expand this idea of our knowledge to more people. And I have a hard time finding more people who want to work with us, probably because I'm not getting on Clubhouse as often. So I'm just trying to find out how I can monetize our partnership a little bit better. So that's kind of like, my question is, how do I monetize what I speak in Clubhouse a little bit better? We give a free ebook for whoever listen to our conversation in our rooms. They can simply book a call with us. We've got a Facebook group. I'm just trying to find more cutting edge way to monetize my followings.
This is Steven. I'm going to tell you this. I think that you hit the nail on the head of why it's not working out so far. Is it takes time. You have to go up there. You have to get up on stages. You have to add value to conversations. It's more about what you're giving than it's going to be about what people are not. The focus shouldn't be on booking calls. That should be the side benefit of being on stages. When you get up on a stage and somebody they're talking about, I have a tax problem, or you get into a room that people are small business. I mean, I would target with the stages you get on, be more strategic in who you're speaking to. So you're going to get up on a stage of small business owners. You're going to get up on a stage of coaches, whatever it might be, that you of the groups that you serve, and then tell them or explain to them how they can benefit from whatever your knowledge is, and you want to genuinely help them through the process.
Absolutely.
Okay, you should be doing this. And then if someone's interested, you don't pitch that you have a book, but use that as your call to action in your bio. So when people click on you, they say something interesting, you hook them in with that first 80 characters, they go into your bio, go through your funnel, hit your call to action, boom, you get a meeting from that. But don't go up there and pitch. People will get
absolutely. So my question is like, how do you find, I feel like with Clubhouse right now, I can't seem to find other types of topics of rooms, maybe because all my followings are very niche people. Is there a way for me to find different types of rooms?
I would suggest to you a couple of things. Just start searching based on the keywords, under club. And what you'll find is, of the bigger clubs, especially, you can apply to speak. You should obviously go and listen first and see, what the general conversations are. But it sounds to me, and I'm looking at your bio here, is that you're a subject matter expert, and it's in an area that's of obvious interest to almost everyone. It's how to grow your wealth, and I think you said even how to do it in a tax deferred method. I would spend some time doing some research, and then try to, identify those candidate clubs and simply pitch to them to come and speak in some sessions.
Right. So, like, when you say pitch to them, like, do I like DM someone who's running the show? Right. I assume so. Right.
Yes, I absolutely. That's one option. And, again, when you look at the profiles, you'll get a better understanding. For
Mm-hmm.
example, on this club, startup.club, we have a companion website where we're building it out. But right now, we have a page and a form where you can apply to be a speaker.
Oh,
Okay.
really? That's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of folks are doing that, including us.
Yeah. Okay.
People, I don't know about everybody else, but, that's a subject that really resonates. And I think if you can go into some rooms where these conversations about wealth generation or making money is happening and actually share some tips, right? This
Yeah,
is
that's kind of like what we do all the time. But
right.
I just haven't really. I'm just trying to, find out what you guys are really doing to, host rooms together, so that like I know what most moderators are doing, how they get to know each other, just some of the things that you guys are doing as well. That was like kind of like my what I wanted to get out of it too.
Yeah, completely understood. And most clubs, the bigger ones especially, they're looking for quality content, right? It's all about quality content, and you can come and add some value. So, example, anyone interested here in, a good topic for startup.club, just go to our website and submit a speaker form. I know there are many, clubs that also have that option, or direct message them.
Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you so much. I know I'll definitely look into that.
And a low-level tip, drop your Cash App in your bio. I've seen people make tons and tons of tips by just going from room to room, adding value, which you seem like you're already doing. So low level, but that could help.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really trying to like make direct money. Like, we're just like really trying to find my goal right now with Clubhouse to find more influencers who work into. We work with like 5 or 7 influencers in real estate space who's got over 20,000 followers each person, and like we get in our rooms and we host a room together. And for whatever reason, if someone book a call with us or one of our agents, and we convert, and that person gets paid, like that influencer. So like what I'm trying to do is like find more influencers who want to work with us. So that's kind of like where it's at. But yeah, thanks so much about that. I genuinely appreciate that.
Hey, Jake, I have another quick tip for you. Similar to what was just said about looking in the Explore section. If you remember when we all logged on, or when we all signed into Clubhouse, we picked interests. You can actually find people based on those interests that they have selected, and you could find clubs based on those interests. So if you go to the Explore section and you scroll down, which I feel like most people don't know. So if you find where it says find a conversation about, those are actually where all the interests live. So if you click on any of those, so either it's tech, if you look at the hustling one, I think hustle is probably where you're going to live most of your time, and you click on one of those things, that'll actually take you into both clubs and people that have selected those as interests of theirs. It's because all the clubs are also associated with interests. So that might help you a lot in finding both influencers as well as clubs that you're looking for.
Okay, yeah, thanks guys so much. Yeah, I think that was kind of like all I had.
And
Great,
Jake, if you're not already following Startup Club, I'd highly recommend doing that. And then make sure you're following Jeffrey, Rachel, Michelle, who started the room, right? You see them at the top with the green moderator hat. Like that's how this room popped up in my feed
Really?
when I first opened up,
Oh, that's
because
awesome.
way back in the beginning, I joined Startup Club, and Jeffrey started a room in Startup Club. I'm following him and I'm following the club. So you're going to start curating your hallway based on who you're following. So highly recommend anyone listening in the audience definitely follow Startup Club. It's one of the largest and longest running clubs in Clubhouse. It was started over the summer of last year. So it's such a good one. And that's how you, like, anytime I hear people complain about, oh, the rooms aren't great. I'm like, you're not following the right people. You're not following the right clubs. So really curate your hallway based on who you follow, and the clubs are really important as well. I'm Coach Deb. Back to you, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Coach Deb. And of course, you should follow Coach Deb, and you should get a copy of her book, Clubhouse Guide. I know I'm going to read it because you better read it fast, because things are changing so fast. She's going to have to do her 2nd edition and 3rd edition and 4th edition. So it's a brilliant book because you'll always be able to update it and sell a new version. You're a genius. a marketing genius.
Remind me to cash app you, Jeffrey. Thank you. and yeah, I've actually already had to update it twice already. So anyone who gets the Kindle, and we made it super cheap, like $3, just so that constantly updates and constantly. And I didn't realize how much of a chore that would be. So I don't want to say I'm regretting it, but it's a labor of love. But yeah, so what we just did there a minute ago, if you are new to Clubhouse, I see a few little what is it? The little party popper icon.
Party hats, yeah.
The party hat, yeah, is we just reset the room. So we're kind of talking about the club, following the club. Those are the things you want to do if you want to pursue being a pro mod, right? You do it for the person that's hosting it. And that way you're giving love to Jeffrey and Michelle and Rachel, the host of it, as opposed to them always doing it. Or again, a mod would do that for them. So it just comes across better as opposed to please follow me, right? You want other people to give you those plugs. So
Yes, agreed. And thank you, Coach Debbie.
And
So
super quick, I'm going to move myself back to the audience before I go. I want to say thank you guys so much for letting me share your stage. It was a pleasure. And I follow all of you guys in the club.
we appreciate it. Thank you.
new friend, yay.
Yeah, thanks,
Great
guys.
contribution.
That was really helpful. Yeah.
All right, we have, and I hope that I say your name correctly, Adugo, on the stage next with a question.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Adugo. I just joined Clubhouse 2 days ago, so I'm very new. Can you all hear me?
We can. Welcome to
Thank you.
Clubhouse. We're excited to have you here.
Thank you. And it's my birthday today, so
Oh,
forgive me for
Happy
everything.
birthday!
Happy birthday.
Hey, I'm a teacher. I work with 7-year-olds. I don't really have a lot of adults to say happy birthday to me, so I had to announce that over here. Sorry. Okay. I heard a little bit in the beginning about monetizing and what can be done to make money on Clubhouse, and I'm very new on here, so forgive me if I make any errors in my questions or what I say. Is it possible to have a moderator create a training like to train others to be moderators depending on their areas of whatever they want to speak about, because I'm into education and I would totally pay for someone to teach me how to be a moderator on Clubhouse, because as a Nigerian person I feel like this particular social club or social, I don't know what to how to say it, but this Clubhouse is, it's gonna, I feel it's something that a lot of Nigerians like me who have been waiting for, because Instagram and Facebook, they're also saturated and it's very very hard for me. Like I have a very one track mind, and it's very hard for me to figure out what to do or find, or just to engage myself on Instagram. So Clubhouse, I feel, is very direct, is very specific, and I feel like it's a very great platform for a lot of Nigerians like myself. So is there? I guess I have a question about that. My second question here will be: is this Clubhouse something that is available to other countries? And actually I know it is, but like in terms of like having a presence in Nigeria, for example, where we have a lot of entrepreneurs who need a platform like this to be able to speak, or hear speakers, or to like just grow their own expertise. And I'm taking my education, like love for education, back to Nigeria, and I would love to be able to host or moderate other individuals like myself who all have iPhones, by the way, because I don't know how they I don't know what they love about iPhones, but iPhones are like a big deal in Nigeria for some reason, among young individuals like myself. So I mean, like, it would be a great tool to take back over there and introduce it to them. And I guess I'm all over the place, so forgive me, and I'm gonna stop here.
it's a great question. And, I would say it's still an emerging platform. So the answer is yes, there are opportunities all around the world. In fact, we have a member of our team who's out of the Middle East and India. I've seen also a lot of localized um, clubs. For example, it could be, Nigerian startups. But the answer is yes. And I do believe there is a lot of opportunity to do so, especially if you can get in a club early and you can really, spend a little bit of time adding value. And if you have your objectives and you're very clear about what they are, you could, yes, build yourself a presence or parlay it onto some other kind of business that meets your objectives.
Hey, this is
This
Adrian speaking. Love the question, and sorry, Stephen, for cutting you off, but just a couple quick things. One is I'm sure there are some great paid resources out there, but I would just recommend, since you're brand new, if you search in Clubhouse for moderator, there's a couple of clubs that have fairly large user bases that are talking about the theme of being a moderator. And I've seen several rooms that are just talking about moderator best practices that I've popped into and have been really good and really practical. And so, as somebody like yourself who's new on the platform, I would recommend starting there, because you may find that you kind of get the initial needs met anyway of kind of getting up to speed, and that may help you to tailor where you might want to look down the road. But I think it's really exciting what you're doing, and definitely keep going. This is Adrian. I'm done.
That was a perfect parlay, because I've been running a daily Clubhouse 101 room for the last 3 months. So I suggest jumping in there. And then I also do a Clubhouse 201, which is about moderating, 301 about clubs, 102 about bio reviews. So a whole bunch of different things they're totally free rooms that we do that are just helping people to get on Clubhouse and facilitate rooms here. So if anybody's interested in that, if you're interested in that, either you can DM me and I can send you the dates, or just give me a follow and I'll take you there.
So, Adrian, you're going to be competing with Coach Deb on the various iterations of your lessons in her book, 101, 201, 301, 401, 5th edition, 7th edition, and on and on and on.
We didn't realize how hard.
University.
Yeah, we didn't realize how hard our job was going to be, Stephen, giving out some free info.
Seriously.
We typically run this room for an hour, so we're a little bit over today, and that's thanks to all of you. We've had such great contributors up on the stage and some smart people and great questions. But we have one more person on stage who hasn't spoken yet, Alyssa, or Elisa. I hope I'm pronouncing it properly. But please go ahead.
Hi, it's Alyssa, or Liz is what I go by. Thank you for running this room and letting me come up. This is great. I'm new to Clubhouse. I just heard about it. I am a sex and relationship coach, and I am connected to a bunch of other coaches, and one of them decided to start hosting weekly chats on Clubhouse. So I hopped very quickly onto the bandwagon because I love this platform so much already. But I just wanted to ask all of you, since you've been around for a while, actually how to get club status. We're doing weekly at the same exact time, and so I've heard that's kind of like you just kind of have to be consistent and get followers to a degree. And then also I've seen so far, obviously with the different tags of sex and relationships and all that, there's a lot of just kind of like shoot your shot, like kind of free for all, unprofessional, more like dating app type areas. And besides obvious presence and who we are and what we're bringing to the table with titles and presentation, what are some ways you think that we can really get the immense value of what we're doing? There's like 20 of us, and we're all professional coaches. There's sex therapists, psychologists. The a level of expertise is so massive. So I just wanted to get some tips from you guys as far as using Clubhouse to the best of our ability, also with something that other social platforms, I mean, Facebook, you can't even use the word sex at this point. So just want to get a little feedback on that. And again, thank you.
This is Stephen. I would suggest definitely following a bunch of more people, and that's my number one thing I'm going to tell you to do is go out there, start searching for people that are in the relationship categories, because I know there's some really heavy hitters that are on here that are relationship coaches. And that's kind of, I guess my statement in that is try to think of things that are just outside of your scope. So if you're a sex therapist, what's the next level? Like what's the next degree out of that like circle? And then try to start following people that way, because that will open up the rooms that are relevant to you. And that's what you're starting to look for. If you're seeing a lot of shoot your shot, a lot of pitch rooms, a lot of stuff like that, that's because you don't have enough people that are falling in line with what you're all about here on Clubhouse. And this is what I tell everybody in 101. I said, make sure you look around the room, above you, below you, to the side of you, and follow people that fall in line with what your mission is here on Clubhouse, and follow those people, because the more people you follow that are a part of your mission, the more rooms that'll appear in your hallway that are like that. And if you're judicious about who you follow, you might not get as much of that. So you want to definitely go out there, follow people, follow clubs that fall in line, so that way all those rooms then become available to you. That'd be my first recommendation. And I mean, if you have 20 people, that's already a big group. And if you can get all of them in one room, I mean, you're already doing well, because there are people that, I know I've been in rooms where that doesn't even have half that.
Yeah, I think
it's
leverage.
incredible so far.
Sorry, Adrian, just real quick. Leverage not only following people, but follow the people who they follow. So if you're following someone and you follow them because they have a particular interest, look at who they follow. And oftentimes that's going to be a good group of people for you to follow, because they're going to be following people that they're interested in. So, it drives that chain forward, so to speak. And as Steven said, you've got a group of 20 like-minded folks. Leverage that power. Go in rooms together, start a club where you guys and gals are hosting the rooms together. And I think in terms of differentiating yourselves from the get a date quick and shoot your shot rooms, of which there are many, is what you're doing right now, going up on stage and speaking about it in a much more professional, speaking about sex in a much more professional, measured way than they are in those rooms, immediately makes you stand out as being different from them. Jeff, and I'm done.
Hey, Alyssa, were you saying that you were still waiting to be approved to create your own club?
No, well, someone else is kind of spearheading the thing, so I'm not in the position to do it, and I don't know if they know what to do. So as of right now, he's just hosting it weekly, but we don't actually have a club. I think there's some
Okay.
confusion about that. So me being who I am, here I am digging for the information.
Well, you are the smart one, because you can actually create your own club right now. So I will send you a DM that shows you exactly where to do that. I'll just send you a little screenshot, because it'll be easier to explain that way. But you
Fantastic.
or whoever you want to do it can go ahead and do that right away. That's something that has now been opened up. It doesn't require any approval anymore.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Just for a point of clarification, you may not be able to yet if you're not active enough. So that might be you'll have the ability to do it, and he'll definitely show you how to do it. But you may need to be active and on the app in order to do that. Just a heads up.
Yeah, good. Sorry, good call out. And it sounds like she is, but for somebody that's brand new, you may not be able to yet. So thank you, Stephen.
All right, excellent. This has been an amazing session, and we want to say thank you for everyone who's given their time and their expertise and come up here to the stage and ask questions. That really facilitates the value of the room. So without further ado, Rachel is going to give us a recap and tell us what to expect next week. It's off to you, Rachel. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Great room, everybody. I learned so much. If you are interested in speaking in Serial Entrepreneur, if you've got something that you want to contribute to our rooms, to our website, to our blogs, to empowering the startup community and, helping entrepreneurs getting started, send me an email or go through the channels at serialentrepreneur.club. You can also reach out to me at startup.club. I check both. So yeah, if you want to speak, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Happy Friday. We'll see you again next Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. That's it. Rachel out.